In the intertwined web of existence, in the fabric of the universe's knowledge, there are countless secrets waiting to be uncovered. One in particular stands right before your eyes. Ancient symbols that point to a millennia-old wisdom. Clues left behind by those who possessed an understanding that most people simply fail to perceive. They were the ancient builders of our history. However, far from being mere temple constructors or designers of stone structures, they were the guardians of ancestral mysteries. Their legacy transcended the material plane, serving as a blueprint for the metamorphosis of the human mind. Imagine yourself, for a moment, with the ability to access this hidden knowledge, unraveling its codes and controlling the same energy that erected vast empires. Behind these symbols lies a silent language, a code that whispers about power, harmony, and rebirth. This is not just a narrative of the past, but the very key to unlocking your untapped potential. And if you stay with me, I will guide you in the art of interpreting this tongue of the soul, revealing what escapes the gaze of the majority. However, be warned, once you witness this, your view of the world will never be the same. Conjure the image of a craftsman, but not just any, but someone with the responsibility of raising a unique temple. Not a construction of stone, but an invisible and eternal space, forged with the very essence of the human spirit. This is the work of the great architect, an allegory of the singular journey of each individual. The tools and methods he employs are not merely working instruments, but symbolic representations of the process of personal evolution. Each of the symbols carries a profound message. The square embodies moral integrity, directing our choices. The compass reminds us of the importance of thoughtfulness and balance in every action. And the all-seeing eye, behold the emblem of the attentive consciousness, the state of perception that we must nurture to see what escapes most, to discern the invisible gears that shape our lives. However, these symbols do not exist in isolation. Together, they compose a majestic project, a map that invites us to awaken and see beyond the obvious. The ancestral builders, recognized as Masons, called this path the journey of the edifier. This is not an exclusive trail, but a path open to all who dare to venture. On this pilgrimage, we will not limit ourselves to deciphering symbols, but also launch ourselves on our own odyssey, exploring the wisdom hidden in the secular teachings of Freemasonry. As we advance, we will understand how this symbolic language guides the builder through one of the most intriguing and powerful transformations that exist. Thus begins the builder's journey, a path that reveals the struggle, the purpose, and the resistance necessary to bring light to darkness and give meaning to chaos. Let us take the first step. In the ancient legends of the Masonic tradition, the builder receives the call to create a masterpiece. However, he faces an unusual challenge. He must build without the familiar sound of hammer and chisel, without the guidance of external voices. It is not an ordinary construction. It is a temple of the soul and mind, erected solely with his own internal resources, patience, and vision. Each layer of this temple, each stone he places, represents a part of himself, his beliefs, his values, his experiences. As he progresses in his construction, he draws closer to understanding his purpose, his true self. But, as in every meaningful journey, he encounters obstacles. Three forces challenge him along the way: thought, emotion, and action. These three elements are powerful allies, but also dangerous adversaries, as they have the ability to build or destroy. Thought symbolizes his mind, the endless flow of ideas and questions that can illuminate his path or cloud his vision. Emotion represents the intensity of feeling, the ardent passion that can drive him or consume him. Action is his will in motion, the energy that can manifest his intentions or lead him to ruin. At the beginning of his journey, these forces betray him. Thought becomes doubt and confusion. Emotion transforms into unrestrained desire. action becomes impulsive and destructive. His creation, the temple that he is trying so hard to build, seems to collapse before his very eyes. But the builder does not give up. He understands that in order to succeed, he must learn to master these forces, to balance them in perfect harmony. He must train his mind so that clarity prevails over uncertainty, temper his emotions with wisdom, and direct his actions with a clear purpose. Only when he achieves this internal mastery can he continue with his work and fulfill the call that has brought him this far. This story is more than a simple allegory. It is a reflection of our own lives. Each of us is a builder, erecting an invisible but essential structure. We build our identity, our dreams, our beliefs. And all of us, at some point, face the same forces that challenge the builder: thought, emotion, and action. Thought without clarity leads us to confusion. Emotion without control plunges us into chaos. Action without purpose destroys what we have worked to build. Therefore, the builder's journey is, in essence, the path to self-mastery. It is a process of learning and resilience, a reminder that every obstacle is part of growth. Just as a sculptor must chisel the stone to reveal the hidden form within, each of us must confront our own imperfections, our unfinished parts, to shape something extraordinary. The Masonic tradition tells us of a crucial moment in the builder's journey, a breaking point where he faces his most difficult test. He has suffered betrayals, he has known adversity, and even loneliness. But in that moment of despair, he makes a decision. He decides to move forward. He chooses to trust the process, to accept the challenges as part of his growth, and to continue his work with renewed determination. It is at this point that the builder understands the deepest truth. The very tools that almost destroy him are, in reality, the keys to his own evolution. It is only through struggle, learning, and mastering these tools that he will be able to complete the construction of his internal temple. In Masonic tradition, this story is also a story of resurrection. The builder who once doubted, who faced the fall, is reborn as a master. It is not a miraculous transformation or a divine act, but the result of his own effort, his dedication to the path. He has learned to create, to shape, and finally, to transcend. This rebirth is not just symbolic, it is a real process that each individual can experience in their own life. Freemasonry teaches us that we are not born complete, but that we must forge ourselves through knowledge, discipline, and introspection. The builder is no longer a simple apprentice, but a master of his own destiny, someone who has overcome his limitations and has discovered the true power that resides within him. As he progresses on his journey, he understands that the symbols that have guided him from the beginning have a deeper meaning than he imagined. They represent not only abstract concepts, but real tools to achieve awakening. They are the map that leads him to mastery. Light and darkness, two forces that have fascinated humanity since time immemorial. In the Masonic tradition, these forces are not mere opposites. They represent the fundamental tensions within each human being: ignorance and knowledge, chaos and order, blindness and vision. But what if these two energies were not enemies, but necessary companions in the process of self-discovery? Imagine finding yourself in absolute darkness. At first, you would feel fear, uncertainty, the sensation of being lost. But then, a single flame appears in the distance, a light in the void. That light represents knowledge, awareness, the awakening of vision. However, Masons teach us that light is only meaningful because darkness exists. Only in the shadow can the light shine with intensity. In this way, darkness is not simply the unknown, but fertile ground, a space of possibility waiting to be explored. We have been taught to fear the darkness, to reject difficult experiences, painful memories, the uncertainty of the future. But within Masonic philosophy, darkness is the starting point. It is the blank canvas on which our transformation is drawn. Within Masonic symbolism, darkness is not the enemy. It is the cradle of growth. It is in the darkness where the seed germinates, where the individual is tested, where he faces his own ignorance and limitations. Only he who dares to look within his own shadow can discover the light that lies hidden within. In Masonic art, the builder is represented with a blue cloak and a crown of golden light. Here, the blue symbolizes wisdom, a serene presence in the midst of mystery, while the gold represents illumination, the knowledge that dispels ignorance. This builder stands on the threshold between light and darkness, understanding that both are necessary for the evolution of the soul. But light and darkness are not just metaphors, they are tools. Masons teach that by embracing both forces, we gain a more complete understanding of ourselves. Darkness is not something to be conquered, but understood. The hidden parts of our mind, the corners we avoid exploring, contain invaluable lessons. Our task is not to flee from them, but to illuminate them with awareness and courage. However, there is a danger. The builder learns that too much light can be as blinding as darkness. In a world saturated with information, distractions, and external expectations, it is easy to get lost in a false clarity, moving away from what really matters. Therefore, the challenge is to find balance, cultivate the light without getting lost in its splendor, illuminate without overexposing. As the builder advances, he understands that true light does not come from external sources, but from within. It grows from understanding, resilience, and the willingness to face his own shadows. And it is this internal light that guides him on his way, a constant beacon in the midst of uncertainty, showing the path even when everything seems dark. So, what does this mean for us? Working with light and darkness involves recognizing that each experience and each challenge contains a hidden teaching, an essential piece of the puzzle of our existence. The legend of the builder reminds us that true growth does not come from avoiding difficulty, but from embracing it. The light we seek is not outside, but within us, waiting to be lit. Following this teaching, the Masons have used the symbol of the ladder as a metaphor for the path to mastery and understanding. Each step represents a stage of human development, a rung in the ascent to higher knowledge. This journey is not an instant leap to enlightenment. It is a gradual process, step by step, in which each level reveals a new layer of meaning, purpose, and self-knowledge. In the Masonic tradition, the image of a ladder is more than a simple means to ascend. It is a profound symbol of growth, a path of gradual perfection. Each step represents a challenge, a teaching, a test that the builder must overcome to advance in his development. The ladder begins at the base, where two great columns stand, symbols of the duality of existence. They represent light and darkness, order and chaos, the visible and the invisible. Before taking the first step, the builder must accept this duality and understand that life is a constant balance between opposites. Without this understanding, the ascent is impossible, for it is in the interaction of these forces that true wisdom is found. As the builder advances, he encounters a series of 7 steps, each representing a fundamental area of human knowledge: grammar, rhetoric, logic, arithmetic, geometry, music, and astronomy. In the Masonic tradition, these are not simple fields of study. They are spiritual keys that open the doors of higher understanding. Grammar and rhetoric teach the builder to express his truth with clarity, to articulate his thoughts with precision. Logic and arithmetic refine his mind, endowing him with the ability to analyze and solve problems with acuity. Geometry and astronomy connect him with the structure of the universe, revealing to him the order and harmony that underlie creation. And then there is music, the language of the soul, the hidden rhythm that guides existence. Through it, the builder learns that everything in life is vibration, frequency, resonance. Just as a well-composed melody can inspire and elevate the spirit, a life aligned with the harmony of the universe can bring balance and purpose. Each of these steps is an instrument of transformation, a tool that shapes the mind and soul of the builder. Masons believe that mastering these disciplines not only prepared a person to understand the world, but also to transcend it, to perceive a reality beyond the merely physical. But the ladder does not end here. Later, the builder encounters another series of 5 steps, which represent the senses: sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch. These are his means to perceive the world, his channels of interaction with reality. However, he discovers that the senses can be both allies and traps. Sight can reveal beauty, but it can also deceive with illusions. Hearing can transmit wisdom, but it can also confuse with falsehoods. Each sense, according to Masonic teaching, must be mastered, refined, used with discernment so as not to fall into the deceptions of superficial appearance. As the builder ascends, he discovers that perception is not just an external phenomenon, but a reflection of his inner world. He understands that the way he interprets reality depends on the degree of awareness he has reached. His senses, far from being simple biological tools, are portals to deeper dimensions of knowledge. But the path does not end here. Beyond the 5 senses, the builder encounters 3 final steps, which symbolize the Trinity present in countless spiritual traditions. They represent the body, the mind, and the spirit, the 3 essential pillars of existence. These 3 aspects make up the unity of being. The body is the vehicle that allows us to act in the world. The mind is the center of our reason and understanding, and the spirit is the divine spark, the essence that transcends the material. Mastering these 3 aspects means achieving supreme balance, total harmony between the physical world, consciousness, and transcendence. Climbing the ladder does not mean escaping the world, but understanding it in its entirety. It is not about abandoning physical reality, but about rising above its limitations, learning to see clearly, to feel deeply, and to act with purpose. The ladder is endless. There is no definitive arrival point, as each conquered step opens the door to new levels of understanding. Masons teach us that true enlightenment does not come in a single instant of revelation, but through a continuous process of learning and perfection. Each step on the ladder is a meditation, a challenge, and a call to awaken. It is proof that wisdom is not a gift, but the fruit of effort, constancy, and the will to see beyond appearances. And at the top of this ladder is one of the most enigmatic and powerful symbols of the Masonic tradition, the all-seeing eye, the eye of Providence. This eye, framed within a triangle, observes from the heights, not with punishing judgment, but with absolute vision. The eye of Providence represents supreme consciousness, perception that transcends the physical. It is the symbol of inner vision, of the ability to see beyond illusion and recognize the truth hidden behind appearance. For Masons, this eye is not only a divine symbol, but a reminder that each of us possesses an internal observer, a part of the mind that analyzes, questions, and seeks the truth. The eye of Providence is not just a representation of an external divinity that observes from above. In the Masonic tradition, this eye is a reflection of our own consciousness, of the part of us that silently observes our actions, thoughts, and intentions. It is the internal judge that compels us to act with integrity, to live aligned with our highest principles. But this symbol holds an even greater mystery. It is not found in isolation, but framed within a triangle, a figure laden with meaning. In esoteric traditions, the triangle represents the fundamental trinity of being, body, mind, and spirit. Each side is essential to maintaining balance, and within it, the eye stands as the unifying force, the perception that transcends the material and connects the 3 aspects into a single truth. To see through this eye is to learn to look beyond the obvious, to understand the invisible structure that shapes reality. In Masonic symbolism, this eye reminds us that we are not separate from the universe, but that we are part of a larger design, a sacred architecture in which each human being plays a fundamental role. However, this vision carries a responsibility. The eye of Providence not only observes the outside world, but also forces us to look at ourselves honestly. It confronts us with our shadows, challenges us to recognize our flaws, and invites us to polish the aspects of our personality that still need to be perfected. True vision is not always comfortable. It is not just discovering cosmic truths, but facing our own illusions, the lies we tell ourselves, the veils we prefer to keep in place. It is a continuous challenge that requires courage, humility, and an unwavering commitment to authenticity. The Eye of Providence is both a guide and a guardian. It calls us to live with awareness, to reflect on the impact of our actions, to remember that every thought and every decision shape the world we inhabit. It reminds us that each of us is a builder, an architect of our own and collective destiny. Masons teach us that to truly see means to take responsibility for our own evolution. It is not enough to acquire knowledge. It is necessary to apply it. It is not enough to understand the truth. We must embody it. Enlightenment is not a passive state, but a constant action, an endless search for balance and perfection. As the builder progresses on his journey, he understands that the greatest work he can ever build is not a physical temple, but the internal temple. Throughout the Masonic tradition, there is a central idea that runs through every symbol, every teaching, and every step of the journey: the construction of the inner temple. Unlike temples of stone, this cannot be seen or touched. It is a work that is built in the heart and mind, a structure that is not raised with physical tools, but with will, discipline, and awareness. Each person is the architect of their own temple. Imagine that each thought, each choice, and each experience are the materials with which you shape this structure. Some lay solid foundations, building on truth, learning, and integrity. Others inadvertently build on fragile foundations, made of illusions, false beliefs, and fears. The quality of the temple will always depend on the intention and effort of the builder. Freemasonry teaches us that the construction of the inner temple is a lifelong process. It is not completed in a single moment of illumination, but is forged in the small daily acts, in the decisions we make when no one is watching us, in the values we choose to uphold even in times of adversity. Each stone we place in this temple represents a virtue: patience, compassion, fortitude, humility. Each of them strengthens the structure, ensuring that the temple can withstand the storms of existence. Just as a stone temple must resist the passage of time, our inner temple must be strong enough to stand firm in the face of life's challenges. But the work does not stop at building the walls. Inside the temple, there is a sanctuary, a sacred space where our purest essence dwells. It is there that we find clarity, where we face ourselves without masks or deceptions. In this inner sanctuary, we shed the distractions of the outside world and seek answers in silence, in introspection, and in the wisdom we have cultivated. For Masons, this sanctuary is a true place of transformation. It is not a refuge to escape the world, but a space where we acquire the strength to return to it with a new perspective. It is here where we learn to look at life with renewed eyes, where each experience becomes one more step on our ladder to mastery. However, the construction of this temple is never really finished. There is always more to learn, more to perfect, more to build. Freemasonry reminds us that the true master is not the one who believes he has reached the top, but the one who understands that growth is infinite. And so, with each experience, with each lesson learned, we place a new stone in the building of our being. This inner temple is not only a reflection of who we are, but also of who we aspire to be. It is a legacy we leave in the world, a footprint of our existence that transcends the material and is inscribed in the history of the soul. As the builder approaches the culmination of his work, a final great lesson emerges within the Masonic tradition. The true judge of the inner temple is not the outside world, but the builder himself. There is no supreme authority that evaluates the greatness of the structure, nor external rewards that certify its completion. The only voice that matters in this judgment is that of conscience. Each person is responsible for their own process. It does not matter how many teachings he has received, how many symbols he has deciphered, or how many paths he has traveled. In the end, it is the individual who must evaluate the solidity of his construction. Each action, each thought, each intention forms the pillars of this temple, and only he who has built with integrity will be able to look at it without fear or regret. Freemasonry reminds us that the judgment of the temple is not a punishment, but a reflection. It asks us to ask ourselves, have we lived with purpose? Have we been faithful to our values? Have we built with love and wisdom, or with negligence and selfishness? These questions do not seek to condemn us, but to illuminate us, to show us the areas in which we can still grow. This internal judgment does not occur only once at the end of the road. It is a continuous process, a daily evaluation that keeps us aligned with our purpose. A wise builder does not wait for his temple to be in ruins to examine its faults. He constantly reviews it, reinforces its pillars, repairs the cracks, and ensures that each stone is in its correct place. The greatest Masonic teaching is that perfection is not a destination, but a journey. True mastery is not found in the construction of an impeccable temple, but in the willingness to continuously improve it. And it is this attitude of constant perfection that transforms a simple builder into a true master. Thus, Freemasonry invites us to look inward, to become judges and architects of our own destiny. There is no single structure for everyone, as each inner temple is different, reflecting the unique essence of its creator. It is not about copying other people's models, but about designing an authentic work, a structure that resonates with the truth of whoever builds it. And when the builder reaches this understanding, he understands that his work is not only for himself. A well-built temple is not only a personal refuge, but a source of inspiration for others. Those who have traveled the path and have built with wisdom can enlighten those who are still seeking answers, showing with their example that true greatness is built from within. In this way, the inner temple transcends individuality and becomes part of a larger legacy. It is not only the story of a single builder, but the story of all those who have sought the light, who have worked with determination, and who have left footprints on the path of awakening. Upon reaching the end of this journey, the builder understands an essential truth. The construction of the inner temple is not a solitary act, but a living legacy. His work does not end with the last stone placed, because this temple is not static. It is an organism in constant evolution, nurtured by knowledge, experience, and personal transformation. In the Masonic tradition, the temple is not only an individual structure, but a reflection of the great universal temple. Each builder, by rising in his own evolution, contributes to the harmony of the whole. His illumination is not only for himself, but for the world around him. The light he ignites within becomes a guide for those who still walk in darkness, a beacon in the midst of chaos. But this illumination is not a definitive goal, but a constant commitment. Freemasonry teaches us that true knowledge is not an accumulation of information, but a daily practice. It is not enough to understand the symbols, but to apply them in life. It is not enough to build the temple, but to inhabit it with wisdom, with compassion, and with purpose. In the end, the builder's final test is not external, but internal. It is not the recognition of others that defines his success, but his own conscience. He has learned that every decision, every action, and every thought leaves a mark on his work. He has understood that true mastery is not the dominion of others, but the dominion of oneself. And so, with this awareness, the builder steps back and observes his temple. He does not see it as a finished work, but as a process in continuous development. He smiles because he now understands that the search for perfection is not about reaching a destination, but about walking with integrity, with courage, and with the will to improve every day. This is the secret of the ancient builders. It is not just about physical architecture, but about the architecture of the soul. It is not about temples of stone, but about temples of light. It is not about building something for eternity, but about learning to live with purpose, leaving a footprint that transcends time. And now, with this knowledge, the final question remains in the air. What kind of temple are you building in your life? Will it be a solid and luminous work capable of withstanding any storm? Or will it be a fragile structure destined to crumble with time? The builder's journey does not end here. Each of us follows our own path, placing stone upon stone, decision after decision. But if there is one thing that Freemasonry teaches us, it is that only those who build with wisdom, with love, and with truth can leave a legacy that endures beyond their own existence.